Hey everyone, let's dive right into today's explainer. We're looking at a deeply powerful, honestly quite cautionary story about diabetes management. Today we're exploring the insights of Osman, who you probably know as the blind Muslim yogi. Osman is a yoga and meditation teacher, an entrepreneur, and a bioenergy healer. He's really dedicated his life to blending ancient practices with our modern battles against lifestyle diseases. His personal journey with diabetes, it's not just some dry medical case study. It's a stark, real-world warning about how deceptive this illness can be. But more importantly, it's a very specific blueprint for taking back control of your health. So let's get right into the lessons from his experience. Just listen to this quote, because it highlights the shocking illusion of a cure. Osman had lost over 20 kilograms, he was doing daily strength training and yoga, and his blood sugar levels, they were reading as absolutely perfect, completely normal. Because those numbers looked so good, he figured, hey, I can safely have the occasional sweet treat or dessert. He really thought he had beaten the system. But this right here is the silent, terrifying trap of diabetes. Even when those surface-level metrics look totally fine, the hidden internal damage from refined sugars is just quietly, relentlessly destroying your body from the inside out. Now, an absolutely crucial point we need to establish right out of the gate, and Osman is incredibly firm about this, is that you can never, ever neglect your doctor's orders or your prescribed medications. Things like natural therapies, lifestyle tweaks, and energy healing, those are strictly complementary. They are meant to enhance your body's ability to heal, definitely not to replace the essential lab tests and treatments you get from a licensed medical professional. You have to follow the medical protocols first, because those tests give you the baseline reality of what's actually happening inside your blood vessels. But standard medical visits have one massive limitation, and that's time. Your doctor is probably averaging, maybe 10 minutes per patient? In that incredibly brief window, they have to analyze your tests, write up prescriptions, and rush to the next room. It's just impossible for them to sit down with you and deeply explain the profound, life-altering consequences of your daily diet. Sure, they'll tell you what not to do, but they just don't have the bandwidth to emphasize that every single bite you take is either fighting the disease or feeding it. Ultimately, that responsibility falls entirely on us. And the timeline of Osman's journey really reveals the delayed, devastating reality of letting even occasional refined sugars slip into your system. He kept up an impressive fitness routine for years, but because he allowed those occasional sweets, the underlying damage just quietly compounded. Then by year 10, bam, he was suddenly hit with severe neuropathy, glaucoma, and permanent blindness. In fact, if you've heard his teachings, you know he vividly describes the visual world. That's because he actually had normal eyesight for his entire life, right up until May 2023, when this sudden, total loss occurred. It's a heavy reality check. So, how do we stop the progression of what Osman calls going to the grave piece by piece? Avoiding amputations, dialysis, and strokes. Well, you have to treat your diet as a strict, completely non-negotiable regimen. There is absolutely zero room for occasional cheating here. The actionable blueprint is simple but tough. Eliminate all refined sugars and carbohydrates completely. If it has regular sugar in it, it is literal poison for a diabetic, period. You also need to cut out all vegetable oils and relentlessly monitor your weight. You're managing a dietary illness, which means your kitchen, that is your primary pharmacy now. So what exactly do you need to swap out in that kitchen of yours immediately? Let's talk about harmful fats first. We're talking processed meats, kebabs, burger patties loaded with hidden saturated animal fats, and those highly processed vegetable oils. These are incredibly destructive to your vascular system. You've got to swap those out for recommended plant-based alternatives. Think avocados, a little bit of high-quality olive oil, and pure cold-pressed flaxseed oil, kept in the fridge, by the way. Making this swap isn't just a suggestion. It's absolutely non-negotiable if you want to protect your nerves and your organs. Interestingly, this total dietary overhaul aligns perfectly with the research of Dr. Jason Fung, which Osman points out. Dr. Fung's approach makes it crystal clear that diabetes requires a zero-tolerance policy for refined carbohydrates. By aggressively cutting out those carbs and focusing your plate on wholesome proteins and healthy, mostly plant-based fats, you're not just dieting, you are actively working to stop the insidious symptoms of the disease. You're fighting off those terrifying complications like nerve damage, kidney failure, and, of course, blindness. Okay, so translating all this into practical daily habits means really prioritizing whole plant-based foods. If you do eat meat or chicken, you have to choose the leanest cuts and completely ditch the fat and the skin. But here is a super critical piece of advice from this explainer. Do not guess your healthy weight. Seriously, don't just look in the mirror and decide, yeah, I look fine, or I'm just big boned. You are dealing with a dangerous disease. You need to get the exact recommended BMI range for your height from your doctor, and you have to actively aim for the exact middle of that range to be truly safe. Now let's talk about the turnaround, because this is where the real hope lies. 18. That's a massive number here. By intensely managing his diet and working very closely with his doctor, Osman has been completely off all insulin injections. And get this, he used to take 5 a day. Not only that, he's been off his chronic blood pressure and cholesterol medications for 18 years. His blood pressure and cholesterol levels just naturally return to normal, strictly through dialing in his diet and his exercise routine. That is huge. He also managed to achieve a 30-inch waistline. He dropped from a pretty massive 46 inches down to 34, held that for a solid decade, and then, after tweaking his protocols even more, he dropped down to an incredible 30 inches. And look, this wasn't some magic pill. This was achieved through just relentless discipline. We're talking walking, bodyweight fitness, strength training, and a super dedicated yoga practice. It really just proves that our bodies can undergo these incredible transformations the second we stop feeding them the toxins making them sick. And here's another incredible stat for you. 99. After 6 years of strictly sticking to these new dietary rules, meaning 0 hidden sugars and completely eliminating those harmful fats, Osman is now 99% free from the agonizing neuropathy that used to plague him. Now, natural methods are definitely slow, and reversing nerve damage is a massive uphill battle. I won't lie to you. But his relentless focus absolutely proves that it is possible to hit the brakes and even significantly reverse some of the most devastating complications of this disease. If you're wanting to learn more about this methodology and really dive into it, Osman actually offers a fantastic, completely free 5-minute yoga and meditation program. You can download it directly from his website at yogawellness786.com. He also shares just a ton of free knowledge on his YouTube channel to make these practices super accessible for everyone. Plus, he offers guidance on complementary energy healing as an addition, again, definitely not a replacement to traditional medical care, so definitely go check that out. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought for our explainer today. Osman's story is an incredibly profound wake-up call for all of us. Are those brief, fleeting moments of sweet indulgence really worth sacrificing your eyesight, your limbs, or your physical independence? Diabetes just doesn't give you a free pass for occasional cheating. It quietly collects a debt that you will, eventually, have to pay. So, will you choose temporary culinary pleasure, or are you going to commit to the discipline required for a lifetime of dignity? The choice, and honestly the power, is entirely on your plate.